Welcome to the Wingman Show. We are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots. Rumble. My name is Drew Brown. My wingman is Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, Brother Paul?
Oh, nothing much. This is another good day. The sun is just breaking here, just south of Atlanta, Georgia. I think it's going to be a good day, maybe overcast, but I'm ready to go.
Good. You got a good wingman for us this week?
Yeah, we do. It's a pair of wingmen, actually. And do you ever see remember those old cartoons where they put damsel in distress on some train tracks? The bad guy put on a train track and the train is coming to run over.
Yes, with the rope. Yes.
The rope, hands and feet are tied. And just in the nick of time, someone saves her. It could be Mighty Mouse or something. Well, we've got a save like that.
I love that. Hey, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening to and watching our show on YouTube. And anybody who's an old listener, we got a new program called the Frequent Flyer Program. For you new listeners, you join on in. Frequent Flyer Program means that the more you listen, the better your life becomes. So come join us in the Frequent Flyer Program for the Wingman Show. Our newsletter is here, Dr. Paul, and you have some articles in it about finances and some facts in life.
Yeah, every week we're going to just put out a little something, no heavy reading, just something nice and easy, a little paragraph, a little bit of information that you can use if you choose.
Good, because every week we'll do the one fact in life. There are 11 facts in life, and we'll just keep putting out those facts. Well, last night, Dr. Paul, I watched Serena Williams, maybe in her last match ever, and it was surreal. You know, I grew up with Muhammad Ali. As from a little boy all the way to the end. And I have to tell you this, Dr. Paul, maybe you'll relate, but that last match was like watching Ali's last fights and him getting beat up. Mm-hmm. And even though he was trying his best, he just didn't have it. Serena actually is really good still, and she might not retire. But that's how I felt watching that match. Like it was one of the greatest, and she is probably the greatest tennis player of all time. And just watching a champion get beat. And it just brought back some very familiar feelings, and they weren't good feelings. When I watched the champ get beat in the end, it really hurt. I mean, he's my brother, and it felt like I was taking some of them punches. But I told you to watch that movie, King Richard, the Serena and Venus Williams movie.
I did watch it, and I didn't see most of her match, her final match. I saw when they were interviewing her, when she was at the court. I did see that. And she did a shout out to the family members and particularly to her father. But I did watch King Richard. You suggested it. And it's a good movie. It's a real good movie. Learned a number of things. As I said before, sometimes Hollywood takes poetic license, so everything may not be exactly real. But for the most part, I'm sure it was. And I thought they did a good job. I thought Will Smith did an excellent job. That was good. Until it wasn't, but he did a good job in the movie, and the other people in the movie I thought were great too. I thought it was.
If you get a chance to see it out there, please go watch that movie. I have problems with Will Smith now, but that's a whole nother show. But let me just tell you this: anybody who likes our show, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. Well, Dr. Paul, you said something last week, and I didn't want to let it pass. And the word was toxic masculinity. Toxic. So next week, I am going to have my colonoscopy. It's every 3 or 5 years. Last time I had it, he wanted me to come in after 3 years. So I'm here. So anyway, I'm having my colonoscopy. And I guess the doctor's a little mad at me because the last time I had it, I might not have followed procedures correctly all the way. And there might have been a little bit of mess where there shouldn't have been a mess. So this time he put me on a 2-day fast. So I can't eat anything for 2 days.
Okay.
Just in case that I messed up. I think it was punishment. But anyway, the point being, there's a lot of men, and especially black men, who think that touching your butt is something weird, something homosexual, something, I don't know what it is. But that's kind of toxic masculinity. This is about colon cancer. You understand? This is about me living. Them touching me does not matter. And matter of fact, I'll be asleep, so I won't feel anything. But this is the subject of toxic masculinity. And you had a big problem with it. And I want to talk about it a little bit because toxic masculinity is a man not taking a colonoscopy, a man not hugging and kissing his children because he doesn't think it's manly, and a man not showing emotions by not crying. I cry all the time, anytime, good, bad, indifferent. I show my emotions, and that actually gets it out of you and actually very healthy for you. But toxic masculinity, as you were telling me, that's not what they're talking about, is it, Doc?
No, I don't think so. When I see it mentioned, to me, toxic, something that's poisonous or harmful, and oftentimes it's directed at people who are basically behaving badly, who happen to be men. It can be physical brutality because if you think about it, particularly men hitting women. That's really not masculinity. If anything, it's almost the opposite because typically men are protectors.
That's right.
They don't typically beat up women. So by that definition, if you accept it, it's the opposite of masculine. It comes.
Can I just say this, Dr. Paul? Men who hit women are punks.
Yes.
Period. Yes. Because anytime you hit somebody and you can beat them up, you are not worth being called a man. I
agree. What you said before, you need to be in the same weight class.
Yeah, I want you to hit Shaq the way you hit a woman.
Exactly. See how it works out.
Yes.
See how it works.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I really wanted to say that because a man hitting a woman thinking then that's cool. You're such a sissy, and I don't even know if sissy's a good word anymore. But damn it, it's just weird. And you're a punk.
If Mike Tyson tees off on Evander Holyfield, Max Power, Evander Holyfield tees off at Mike Tyson, Max Power, something. They may even negate each other. They can knock each other and negate each other. That is closer to fair. That's closer to being equal. So if you get a decided advantage, that's cowardly at best.
Cowardly.
And unfortunately, you see a lot of that with all ages, particularly younger people. And that comes with the bad socialization of men and maybe a lack of manhood and a lack of males. Not because of too many men, not enough men. So,
well, you ever heard of this comedian Bill Burr?
Yes.
He did a little something, and he said Sean Connery James Bond, who I really think is James Bond. Right. I don't know any other James Bond.
Right.
Anyway, he said that Sean Connery just got in trouble because a long time ago they saw a clip, and he said, well, you see a woman, you just slap them around a little bit when they get out of line. I hate to say this. If you look at movies back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, they slapped women, they grabbed them, they shook them, and they put them in their so-called place.
Yeah, James Cagney, one he put a grapefruit in a woman's face or whatever, some movie. I forgot what it was. It's like, basically it was kind of a male, female, Three Stooges kind of thing. The Three Stooges could do that and be, you laughed at it. But that was bizarre. That was bizarre, but they did do that.
So we're going to go from toxic masculinity to something really good. How about distress? But we found the opposite of distress. It's called eustress. And eustress is something, it is stress, just like distress, but it's good stress. It's like the stress you get when you're going to get a promotion, the stress you get when you just got a new job or your first day of school or your first date. That was eustress when your gut was all bubbly and you were getting butterflies and all that. Mm-hmm. But that's good stress. And they say this good stress actually brings on creativity. It brings on singleness of purpose. And it seems like you can put this stress to good use. So there are different kinds of stresses here, Dr. Paul. Tell them what you thought about it.
The eustress. Yeah, distress is when it's bad. You're losing it. You don't know how you're going to survive. Eustress, I think, it's therapeutic when you have a challenge that you think you can meet. It's a matter of how well you can meet it. The picture behind me is of the Blue Angels, and our wingman in Chicago, Brandon, told us he saw the Blue Angels last week in Chicago. He watched 2 days. They were performing over his house or whatever. He said it was fantastic. But I'm sure they have a bit of eustress in that they're professionals, they're great at what they do, but they still have the challenge of doing the show. And every show is different. You can't live your life on past performance. So can we make the show better? Can we do as well as we did the day before, the or the week before. So they may have that stress in terms of good performance. So that's good. You have that eustress when you're working out, when you're working your muscles out. You need that. Get your blood pumping, your heart racing a little bit more in a constructive way. You may need that one day, that you tune up your sympathetic nervous system that controls your breathing, your blood going through your system. You may need to ramp up if it's fight or flight, maybe to save yourself or do something, get out of danger or save someone else or perform a great play. It all works out. So that's a good kind of stress.
Yes, we love this eustress. It refers to stress that leads to a positive response is what it does. It tends to be short term and often feels exciting. People perceive this type of stress as manageable and even motivating. But you need to know this eustress can turn into distress. 100% that same stress, if you overdo it, can turn into distress.
Right.
And this is what you and I had a conversation about. You just said the Blue Angels were having eustress. Now, you and I flew those jets, and we had eustress when it was fun.
Right.
But you had the nerve to tell me that you had eustress when you were coming aboard the aircraft carrier at night. And I said, Dr. Paul, that wasn't eustress, that was distress. But there was a certain kind of distress that actually made us work better. I mean, I was single-minded to staying alive. And the only way I could stay alive coming aboard the boat at night was to do exactly what I've been taught. Exactly. And that distress, as soon as I hit that wire, in other words, as soon as I land and felt that tug of that wire, that distress came into its past heaven feeling. It's the second best feeling I've ever had in my life.
That's true.
And sometimes the first, but late at night and you get caught on that ship and you're home, it knocks the wind out of you. You told me that you came aboard a boat that was in a turn. And for anybody who doesn't know about aircraft carrier landings, aircraft carrier always points into the wind when they're recovering airplanes. So Dr. Paul, why don't you tell me about this crazy thing you did about landing on an aircraft carrier while it was in a turn? Because that wasn't eustress either.
No, that was bizarre. That was kind of like something out of a movie. And it's a very simple thing. Long story short, I think we launched one afternoon on a routine mission. The launch is 17, 18 airplanes. And there was a freak weather occurrence. Long story short, we couldn't get back aboard. The weather is bad. We ditched, not ditched. We diverted to Deci Romano Airfield. It's a base in Sardinia. And the next day, we headed out. But the problem was all the planes left. My plane was broken. So it took another day to fix. The next day I left and they told me where the ship would be. There was a point of intended movement. It was just a coordinates. So I put the coordinates in my little computer, headed that way. When I got there was no ship. There was no one to talk to. So I kind of headed slow in a direction I thought it might be. And I got a hold of someone and they directed me to the ship. It was another 300 miles from that point, but I had plenty of gas. Got there and I was kind of in the middle of the recovery. Like Drew said, the ship is typically headed into the wind to recover. But they had a launch and they were turning around 180 degrees. And it typically takes a long time for an aircraft carrier to make a turn. I think it takes 5 miles. Anyway, when I get there, the ship happens to be in turn. No one's expecting me. I fly overhead and I got a little extra gas. I could go somewhere else. But I said, no, we're going to try to recover you. So they bring some LSOs out. And they said, well, the ship is in a turn. You can see the wake. It's doing a full turn. He said, you want to try it? I said, well, yeah, sure. So essentially, I make the landing, and the ship is turning the entire time. And I'm not really aware of it. I'm making corrections. I'm just doing what you said, do what you're told, but I'm making like 100 corrections where I make 2. I'm making lots of them. Touchdown. I get that tug. It's a beautiful day. First of all, if this was night, this would be impossible. It's a beautiful day. And I'm looking, and the ship is turning like every second it's just moving. And it's like, wow, I didn't think that was possible. Because if you hit off center to a certain degree, you can really bust up the airplane. You can actually go over the side.
Or kill yourself.
You can kill yourself. You can break the wire. It's like, wow. And the thing is, I'm parked. I'm looking. This thing is like really moving, almost like you're like on a merry-go-round ride, but it's going horizontal.
Well, for people who don't know this, Dr. Paul, what you did is incredible. It is very hard to land on an aircraft carrier, period. But to land on one while it's turning is incredible. So people out there, you need to know, Dr. Paul is a great pilot. That's what we're trying to say right here.
Yeah, that was Eustress, but I was more interested. It was just kind of fascinating stress. Is this possible? But it was. And then when my debrief in the LSO was, well, that was pretty good. That was incredible. And it was like three of them. They just laughed. I said, wow, that's something.
They gave you an OK3 wire.
Yeah,
for anybody out there who doesn't know what that means, that's a perfect pass. And they don't like giving those grades out for some reason. They just don't like giving out the perfect pass. They're always a little too high, a little too low, a little too fast, a little too slow. But this was perfect.
Yeah.
How about this? You know where you were? You were over water. I have some really good news, and I knew it was true. But being in nature and being near water is scientifically proven to help you reduce stress, to help you give a better mental feeling. It's supposed to be life-changing. So anytime, you're not doing well, maybe take a walk out in nature. It's actually shown it'll reduce a stroke by 16% being out in nature and being near water. And they even said that if you're not even near real water, look at it on your television. Listen to it. They have all those sounds when you go to sleep. That's water rushing or the ocean or rainforest. But being in nature is really important to mental health. And anytime you're feeling bad, why don't you try to take a walk in the park? Why don't you go to the beach and just be by yourself and think a little bit? I guarantee you'll feel better. What do you think about that, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, there's a power with being in nature. There's a power with just being around trees or vegetation, just getting fresh air. If you spend all your time in an office, inside a car, inside an airplane, you're getting, not recycled air. It's probably fresh air, but it's not the same as natural air. You're getting what's coming out of the air conditioning systems. You need some real air. You need to get out and breathe and exert yourself and get your lungs moving, your body moving. That goes back to what we were saying before. Get out and move. Get that good stress. Yeah, get out of the house. Get out of the computer. You're probably watching it now. You're probably looking at your iPhone. Put the iPhone down a little bit. Don't hurt yourself.
After the show.
Yeah. Give us a good review, please. After the show, do what the Wingman said, and try to walk for 15 minutes. If you can't go anywhere, walk in place.
That's very good, Dr. Paul. And time for a Wingman PSA. Hello, this is a Wingman PSA. Education is necessary. Knowledge and wisdom are mandatory. Know the rules. They change with the game. Learn to listen and discern. In order to make a choice, gather good information, prioritize it, and then make a healthy choice. This has been a Wingman PSA.
Yes. Very good.
You like that one, Dr. Paul?
That was nice.
Good. Well, I got a great thing to tell you about something called an immortal jellyfish. We like to talk about health here. We always try to, because I think life is about being healthy and try to extend it as long as you can, being happy and not in pain. Well, there is a jellyfish called the immortal jellyfish, and it has been shown to actually reproduce new cells. It's asexual, and they're saying that it can stay alive forever. So scientists have gathered a bunch of these jellyfish, and they're now studying them to see how we can regenerate our cells. Because if we regenerated cells, we possibly would never die, because anything that died, we would renew. So anyway, this immortal jellyfish is incredible. And this is a real way for the fountain of youth. And then while I was talking about this jellyfish, Dr. Paul, you sent me a picture, and I'm going to put it up on YouTube. Matter of fact, you'll even have a little video in it in our clips, but this is a fish with a clear head. You actually can see his eyeballs inside his head. It looks like a helicopter. You know how the front of a helicopter is all glass?
Yeah.
Well, that's the picture you sent me. I have to show people this on YouTube, but it is an incredible fish. But getting back to the immortal jellyfish, you know, extending life is really important.
Yeah. It's fascinating. There's a lot of things they're doing with all kinds of animals, sea animals, and discovering more unusual creatures, you know, many thousands of feet below the oceans we know nothing about. They're wondering how they can live without in darkness. And apparently some are very healthy and some are very big, some are very, very small. But below the Earth's oceans, you have different life forms that we really don't understand. It's been said we know more about outer space than we do underneath the oceans.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You know, like going to the moon. You know, this afternoon, change subject slightly, there's the Artemis 1 mission launching from Cape Canaveral. It used to be Cape Kennedy. I almost want to say that, Cape Kennedy.
It's the biggest rocket ever.
It's the biggest rocket ever. It's heavy lift rocket. It's the biggest one since the Saturn V. It's unmanned. It's got the Orion space capsule, and they're going to go around the moon and spend a lot of time on the dark side of the moon and come back. Then there's going to be Artemis 2. It's going to have a crew in it. They're going to do the same thing. And then Artemis 3 is going to have a crew that's going to land on the moon. It's 1, 2, and 3. I guess Artemis is like out of Greek mythology, and it's a she. I think she's related to Zeus, considered the goddess of the moon and goddess of wildlife and hunting. But maybe that's why they're making a big deal, saying that eventually there's going to be female.
There's going to be a black woman on the moon.
That's what I assume.
No, that's what they said.
That's what they said?
Yes, okay. They sure did. They sure did say that. I would like to change subjects for a second, going back to health. These, you know, what you eat is so important. We think working out is important. It's really what's in your body first. You have to start from the basics. And these are the 5 worst things you can put in your body, and they're preservatives. And I'd just like to name them for you, if you don't mind, because it's really important that we know what's killing us. And the first one, the worst preservative you can put in your body, is something called sodium nitrate or sodium nitrite. And that is the preservative they put in meats to make it look red or to make it look vibrant, all the colors. Matter of fact, this stuff is used to put in foods that make it more vibrant than they really are. And they said that if you eat 1.8 ounces of processed meat every day, it increases your risk of cancer by 20%. And that is all found in bacon, ham, salami, corned beef, hot dogs, pickled feet, canned meat, smoked salmon, dried fish, jerky, lunch meat, cured meat, and other processed meats. The next one, number 2, is BHA and BHT. And give me a break if I don't pronounce this right, but butylated hydroxyazole is BHA, and butylated hydroxyethylene is BHT. I probably didn't pronounce it right, and that should give you a hint. If you can't pronounce something you're putting in your body, something's wrong. Something's wrong. But this preservative, this is the preservative that extends shelf life. And it's bad because it causes cancer. And it's found in cereals, packaged meats, sausage, hot dogs, chips, beers, butter, vegetable oils, and candy. The third worst preservative you can have is potassium bromate. Really quick, this pissed me off because another name of it is enriched flour. I'm going to read the other 2, and I'm going to go back to this. The 4th worst one is high fructose corn syrup. Everybody should know that already. But it's bad because it's weight gain, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, arthritis, insulin resistant. It's just bad for you. Number 5 is trans fat, hydrogenated vegetable oil. And trans fat, once again, gives strokes and heart disease. And it's found in all deep fried foods and hot dogs. And you got to really watch what you eat. But let's go back to potassium bromate. Dr. Paul, I almost flipped out. Remember we were studying when we were working this week and we talked about this? The other name is enriched flour. To me, I buy stuff that says enriched because to me, that's positive. How dare they? How dare they actually put the third worst preservative you can put in your body, which causes cancer, and call it enriched flour? Dr. Paul, help.
Well, they're just playing with the language. They are masters at tricknology. Enriched because they know you're the wingman. You want to be rich. You don't want to be poor.
That's right.
So that rich part grabs you. It's just they're legal. They're misleading, but they're legal.
Well, this is how we found out about it. Remember, Dr. Paul, we were working and we saw this article that wind turbines, after they're used, they turn them into gummy bears. And we both looked at it and said, what? And we read on, and it's because they produce potassium lactate. But that's what got us into this other article. But this enriched flour, people out there, if you would like some advice, look on the back of everything that you put in your mouth. If you have words back there that you can't pronounce, I would say common sense says don't put that in your mouth. Right. Common sense.
Yeah. The more strange words, the worse it is. There's no way to avoid it totally.
Well, wait. I got good news for you, Doc. You know this too. There are ways to go around this. You have options when it comes to eating. Instead of sugar, you can use monk fruit. There are options. The options cost a little bit more money, though. Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny? We talked about this before. Salted almonds and raw almonds, roasted and salted almonds cost as much as raw almonds. And raw almonds you don't do anything to. Right. And that's because healthy people will pay more for better food. Right. So anybody who's worried about that money thing, damn it, people will go out and pay $15, $20 for a martini, have no problem about that. True. But an extra $1.30 because this is organic, or not organic, but healthy. I don't think I want to pay that. Yeah. You are the most important subject in the world. Whatever you put in your body represents you. Be careful what you put in your body, Doc. Yeah. Did you like chia seeds?
Yeah, they're okay. I put them in my smoothie and sometimes in yogurt.
When I played ball back in college, I used to put chia seeds under my lip. Like I thought it gave me energy, and it's supposed to. It's chia seeds actually happen to be the highest omega-3s of any plant-based. Mm-hmm. For fiber and antioxidants, it's full of it, chia seeds. And I use that in our Drew Brown special shake, don't we, Doc?
Yeah, we do that, and throw some sea moss in there, our sea moss. You don't taste it, but but the combination are good things. Just those two things.
Well, we might be very rich, but I doubt it. Mickey Mantle's card just sold for $11.8 million. And I'm not kidding. I was looking through some stuff and I found some baseball cards.
Yeah, you got to tell people who's Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle, number 7, center fielder for the New York Yankees. My only idol when I was a little boy. He was my idol. And I actually met him one day when I was 20 something. And, the idol went away because he was real. It's so much better to not meet your idols or your heroes, I think. But anyway, I found a Clete Boyer card. Now, I'm going to put this all up on YouTube, but Clete Boyer was the third baseman for that Yankee team. And I actually had it in a protective packaging. So I'm going $11 million for Mickey. I could get a couple of $100,000 for Clete Boyer. Well, I looked it up, and guess how much my card is worth?
How much?
$33.
Okay. Don't spend it in one place.
I won't spend it in one place.
You can get some chia. You can get some
I can buy some chia seeds. Yeah. You're too much, Dr. Paul. Okay. Dr. Paul, you told us about some wingmen earlier in the show. You want to give them to us now?
Yeah. I was talking earlier about damsel in distress caught in the train tracks and being rescued just before the train hits her. There was a father and son duo in Massachusetts, in Boston Harbor, that ran into a little trouble. Father and son Joe and Tommy Azzarito were lobster fishing off of in Boston Harbor. Going for lobster. Get some really good lobster up in New England. Mm-hmm. And their lines got tangled up in the boat somehow, and they started to taking on a lot of water. The boat is starting to sink. They have a radio. They put out a distress call, and the ship is going down really quick. It's a boat. It's like a 28-foot boat. Father and son. The father's in his mid-70s. The son, he looks like he's in his 40s.
You need to tell them what temperature the water was. It was frigid.
It's frigid. And that's the thing, I've been to Boston beaches when I was young. I had an aunt that lived up there. It's cold up there. It's cold in New York. It's cold on Long Island. It's colder up there. Even though
remember when we used to fly in the North Atlantic and they would give us those suits to put on suits under our flight suits to get in the jet? Used to be like an inch thick. You couldn't even walk. You looked like that guy. Remember Christmas Story? Remember the little kid who walked with the big coat on?
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
Yeah. I still have mine. I have my poopy suit. I still have it. I don't know if I can fit in it. I still have it. They let you keep it. But anyway, they're freezing. This is in August. It's still cold water. And they're about like 9 miles. They're near a lighthouse, which is about 9 miles from the shore. And this Boston Harbor Patrol happens to hear the distress, and they get to them. They see them. They see the ship go under, and they're out. And the father and son are clinging to a cooler. The father does have a life vest on, and the son had a life preserver. He didn't have a vest on. He had a preserver. He's holding on to that. And they're holding on to this ice chest, which won't sink. So that's their flotation device. And the harbor police just get to them as they're about to, I won't say go under, but they're pretty close to it. They were in the water for 15 minutes, probably in a panicky mode. And so that's going to deplete your energy, even with flotation. And they were rescued by the 2 Harbor Patrol officers. That's Officer Garrett Boyle and Stephen Merrick. So those are our 2 wingmen of the week. And there's a video. See if we can get our video guy or media guy to put it on there. There's a video of them being brought aboard the ship.
Remember, they didn't have any strength to pull themselves up?
Yeah, they didn't have strength.
It's because the coldness. I mean, they were getting ready to go into hypothermia.
Yeah.
And you die real quick after that. But they didn't even have the strength to pull themselves up on the boat as they were getting rescued. The cops actually had to pull them up. It's an incredible scene. Right.
And we'll show another picture too, getting pulled up, and also one where they get together and they're thanking the police that helped them. So this is a very good cop story. It's not cops and robbers, it's cops as protectors and wingmen to other people.
How about that? They have good cops too, don't they?
Yes.
That's amazing. A couple of a-holes can really ruin it for everybody. Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.